All right. Hey, everybody. It's Meg Johnson here. It is Tuesday, September 20th, and you are on the Dream Team Coaching Call. And we are excited to spend some time in community with you tonight. We are coming off a great client call where we talked about taking it from good to great and contending. And in that theme and in that same vein, we are going to talk on the coach call tonight about going from good to great in your business and how to contend in your business, which I'm really excited because we've got some great coaches who are going to be sharing their hearts with us tonight. And in all of the time I've spent in Optavia, the biggest shifts I've seen in people have been when they've managed their energy and their emotions. And that's when their business has moved more than anything. And we know when we can be grounded in love, that agape love, that is when people feel it and change happens and people's lives change forever. So excited to kind of talk about that tonight. And we're going to get started by talking about one of the key ways that we manage our energy is projecting our confidence, because what we expect oftentimes is what we project, and confidence is right there. You know, when we show up confidently, people want what we have, right? It's very, very attractive. And I can't think of any better person to start talking about confidence than Elizabeth Manfrodi, because she has such a fire in her soul. So Elizabeth, would you share with us about how you manage your confidence and how you show up so confidently with us?
Hey, Meg. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me on tonight. I've got to tell you guys that it is such a privilege to get to serve alongside of each and every one of you. And I want to thank you for being here and investing in yourselves, because really that is the first step on how I build my own confidence, is I show up for myself. But it's more than really just showing up. Confidence for me is valuing what I bring and how I can serve others. And I feel like those two components are so crucial when it comes to this business, because if we don't love ourselves, if we don't value ourselves, then why would anybody else value what we have to say? And why would anybody else want to come to us so that we could serve them and help them on their journey? And I've got to swipe because I can't look at myself like that. That's really distracting. So I'd rather look at all of your beautiful faces. And I've got notes here. All right, so I broke it down to the three ways: your foundation, your value, and your gifts. And your foundation, my foundation is in Christ. I am a woman of faith. And so I ground myself every morning with at least 16 ounces of water before my feet hit the floor, right? Because if I don't, then that coffee is going to dehydrate me. It's just facts, y'all. It's going to happen. And I make sure that I'm fueling my body, because my body is fallible. And then I make sure that I'm fueling my spirit, guys, because I want to serve others from an overpour. And that overpour of the spirit in my life is what allows me to serve others confidently, because then I know, as a child of God, as a daughter of the King of Kings, if I am wholeheartedly attempting to serve his kingdom and build his kingdom, he's going to give me the strength and energy that I need. And the beauty there is that even in my imperfections, even in my mistakes, the vulnerability of me showing those to others, like the fact that my cat has just walked in this and opened my door, and you might see him jump up here. I'm like guarding him with my hand, y'all. Like, hey, I love you. But that vulnerability, that's attractive, guys, because so much right now, everyone is like picture perfect. And there's that whole trending reel where it's like Instagram perfect. And then reality, yeah, I just try to live in the reality, and I try to be authentic and approachable and real, but I choose to keep it on the value side, on above the line, because that to me brings the most service to others, is if I am serving from above the line. So I'm gonna all right, building confidence. Whose approval are you looking for? Guys, that's really important. Whose approval are you looking for? See, back when I was looking for people's approval, I was not confident. I was a wreck because I was constantly thinking about, did I offend someone? Do I seem dumb? Do people think that I'm talking about something that I shouldn't be talking about? Am I really skinny enough to post that picture? But y'all, I had to get to a point where I just didn't care who was offended, because if I was speaking from love and if I was serving from love, that agape love, like Meg said, then sometimes you have to ruffle some feathers. And that's okay, because everyone wouldn't love the perfect person. Everyone didn't love Jesus, y'all. And so that's okay. You have to lean in to what you offer. So I try to lean in to what I offer. And remember that each one of us brings something completely different and of equal value to the table. So don't try to just carbon copy someone that you see trending or someone that you like how they are using their verbiage. That is not what we need in this community. We need you and the most authentic, most bold, most courageous sense of who you can be. That's what we need. And when I leaned into that and really started looking into who was that Elizabeth, that's when I found that my team started to grow. And that's when I found that I started to grow because I was speaking from a place of freedom and I wasn't in the prison of mediocrity. Whenever we're comparing ourselves to others, guys, we're putting ourselves into a box. But if we aren't complacent and if we don't ask permission to be ourselves, then all of a sudden we're shifting from being a consumer to being the creator. And when we are the creator of our own image, of our own media, of our own voice, then we get to focus on what is going to happen in the future instead of on what we've already done. And that really made a big difference in my confidence, not worrying about the things in the past. Y'all, I make mistakes all the time, every day. I make mistakes. In the past, in the client call, Jordan said, raise your hand, a little icon. And I was sitting there like this, y'all. Like, and I'm a coach and I just had my hand up. I make mistakes, but that's okay. If you show that to people through love, then they will trust you more and come to you authentically because you're building a foundation, right, of trust on who you are so that they can be who they are. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to go too long. Great does not equal perfect. That is really important for me to remember, that authentic equals approachable. And there are so few people in this world that are okay sharing who they really are. If you love yourself and love others through the overpour, then you can lead others. And Doug Wood said, if you want more, you have to give more. And that's it. That's all I got.
Wow, Elizabeth, I love what you shared. You started off by saying you got to show up for yourself first, know your value, fuel your mind and your spirit before you serve anybody else. And I love how you reminded us all, you are needed. Your story matters. Man, I think, I think all of us probably needed that reminder today. And you made a good point. Like, we don't have to be perfect. We just have to show up just as we are. And the reality is sometimes we don't always want to. And so would love to hear from Michelle Labby on how do you create the energy that you want, especially when you're not feeling it? And how do you talk yourself through figuring out, are you telling yourself a story or is it real? And then what do you do anyways? So Michelle, would you mind sharing that with us?
Sure, absolutely. Don't we all just want to have her in our back pocket? Like, just right here, like on my shoulder, maybe, that little voice going, oh, you can't do it. You can't do it. You're awesome. I just love that so much about you, Elizabeth. You're just so inspiring, and your energy and your passion and your love for people. It just really is inspiring. Thank you so much for sharing that tonight. And one of the reasons I say that is because I could have really used you in my back pocket a couple of weeks ago, right? When I was just feeling very defeated and really kind of down about where my business was, where just a lot going on, and I really had to think through, like, why am I doing this in the first place? And it got hard a little bit to show up. It got hard to be on things. It got hard for that few weeks of time. And but what I realized was that I was allowing that negative self-talk to really take over. And I had to flip that switch. And I had to start, I love our Stop Challenge Choose for that. Dr. A, that tool is amazing, because I really had to just stop and reflect, like, is that really true? Am I, like, I have things that go through my head. I don't know if any of you think this, like, I stink. I'm like the worst coach ever. I have like all this stuff that goes through my head, and I have to really speak life back into myself. Like, no, that's not true. Who am I really? And then I just have to get into action, because for me, when I feel stuck, I just have to do. Some people have to do other things, but for me, it's in the doing. It's in the doing that I then convince myself that, no, I can do this. If I just sit and don't do anything, then I'm just sitting and not doing anything. And so that was very profound. I hope all of you wrote that down. But as I do the work, as I show up, that helps me work through, because you know what? Fear and self-condemnation and all that negative stuff just keeps us sitting and not helping. So what I do is I just start doing. I show up. I come to the calls even when I don't feel like it. And I put my camera on so that I make sure that I'm present. If I put my camera off, then I can hide, right? So I put my camera on even if I don't feel like being there, because you know what? I'm also a professional. I need to be here. So I want the training. I want the stuff, even if I don't feel like it inside. I'm going to still keep doing the things. I'm going to show up for my client calls. I'm going to serve them well. And I'm going to, make the call about them and really focus on what do they need? What is it that they need this week to help them get through to the next hump, and just be there for them. Then I try to focus on self-development. I put inspirational tapes on in the morning. Like, I've got some really great things on YouTube that I share with my team too. And, just really fill my mind with those positive things so that I don't start my day on a negative note, right? When I sit on the side of my bed now, I say 3 things I'm grateful for. And say, God, I can't do this day without you. Please walk me through it and bring me somebody to serve today, and I will serve them. And help me show up today with love in my heart for everybody that I meet. So, getting into action when we're feeling stuck, for me, has proven to be the best course of action to help me flip that negative switch. And then also talking to somebody. I've got my mentor coach. I've got my own health coach. I've got my some key members on my team, that I can just go to and say, hey, I'm having a hard day. How's your day going? And just being able to talk as friends and boost each other up so that we can be the best that we can be. And that's really all I have. I hope that was helpful. And you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Yes, Michelle, that was great. I love how you talked about, what do you do when things get hard? You flip the script. You ask yourself, am I telling myself a story? One question I love to ask is, if you're telling yourself a story like, man, somebody is not answering the phone because they're, mad, or whatever the case may be, ask yourself, can I prove that in a court of law? And if I can't prove it in a court of law, I'm going to tell myself a better story, right? Like, we are our own author, right? Like, let's tell ourselves a good story. I love that. And then reminding us that action cures fear. and service too. When we ask our clients or our coaches, how can I serve you today? That cures our fear, cures our negative mindset. And I love the reminder that we are each other's community. And when we surround ourselves, like when we're feeling down or whatever, if we can go to one of these beautiful people's Facebook pages, or when we send them a message or shoot them a text, these are the people that want to walk alongside us and are our tribe. So that was a great reminder. Jordan, you are the master at managing your mindset. So, and I know you've made huge strides in going from good to great in this area. Would you mind sharing your wisdom with us?
I will. Also, at the risk of it sounding very similar to what Michelle and Elizabeth have shared, but guys, that is not because, oh, they, didn't want to plan it or whatever. Like, that's on purpose, because those are the things that work, right? And I just had this thought while we were talking. What if your desire to impact others and to help people in your world is really an opportunity to impact yourself more and to start the ripple in your world? Because how many of us know, we talked about this a little bit on the client call, like as moms, as nurturers, as caretakers, I'm a nurse, in my life before children, right? Like, it's very easy to put yourself on the back burner and take care of everyone else. And you can kind of ignore the person in the mirror. And then life happens, right? And, how do you get back? Like, how do you climb out of the hole? How do you stand back up, when things are hard? And so I came up with 5-in-1 tips to lead yourself when life happens. First things first, it starts with a firm foundation. I am a woman of faith, and, that's where everything that I do flows from. So this is where I start the battle, right? Is in my mind and in my soul. And so I always combat lies with truth. The lie would be, you're not good enough. You're not a good enough mom. You're not a good enough wife. What if you did it this way? What if you could do it that way? Why is your house always a mess? Why is this, that's all that chatter is lies. What is true, right? And for me, like, I go to scripture. What does God say about me? Right? He says that through Jesus, I can do all things. He says that, his strength is made perfect in my weakness. And I go back to that. And there's another big tip is, what are you putting in? Because what goes in is what comes out. And so if you're sitting, watching the news, scrolling and watching mind-numbing videos, looking at things that are not life-giving, then of course you're going to feel depleted. Of course, you're going to feel like you're not enough. And so, really pay attention to what you're putting in. And I love, Lauren calls it her Philippians 4 filter. So I wanted to share this because I thought it was so fitting. Summing it all up, friends, I'd say you'll do best by filling your minds and meditating on things true, noble, reputable, authentic, compelling, gracious, the best, not the worst, the beautiful, not the ugly, things to praise, not things to curse. Put into practice what you learned from me, what you heard and saw and realized. Do that. And God, who makes everything work together, will work you into his most excellent harmonies. Second tip, treat yourself like you love yourself. Elizabeth mentioned drinking water when you first wake up. Eat good food, get good sleep. Y'all, I was so sleep deprived after that trip to Oregon. And this week, something happened over the weekend that it kind of shifted for me. And I guess I got back on East Coast time, and man, what a gift good sleep is. Don't keep yourself up at night. Hello, scrolling and reading, and I'm working still, and don't do that. Okay. Put yourself to bed, put your phone to bed, and treat yourself like a baby. Treat yourself like you love yourself. Right. Third tip, let the light in. Literally, when you first wake up, open the shades and get natural light in. It helps set your circadian rhythm. It helps lift your mood. Dr. A talks about it in the Habits of Health book. And it has become a habit for me. It's like my favorite thing to do when I first wake up is open the window. Ask me if you've stayed with me in a hotel, Sarah, I'm looking at you. I throw the shade open as soon as I get out of bed, because it makes such a difference. The fourth tip, get outside. How many of you have heard of grounding? Put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of grounding before. It's where you put your feet in the dirt or the grass and you walk around. I want to challenge you to do this week. Just go outside with no shoes on and feel the ground underneath you. Feel what the air feels like outside. Notice if there's a breeze. Let your body just be present. And I did look up a little bit of benefit of doing this. So, and also take deep breaths. Grounding is known to reduce inflammation, reduce stress and pain. It's known to increase your blood flow, improve your sleep and your vitality. If you're feeling frustrated and you want to get a little crazy, go push a tree. If you don't know what that means, ask me later. And then the fifth tip is to move your body. Exercise improves your brain health, your sleep. It's a great stress reducer, develops strong bones and muscles, and endorphins, as we know, lift your mood. I am not always great at wanting to exercise, but I always feel better when I do. And that just helps with putting things in perspective too. And actually walking and talking, it actually helps put your thoughts in order, and you can solve problems by doing that. Okay, here's the bonus tip, play music. So I know we've got some music lovers here, and music can definitely shift your mood. I do have a little special tip. If you are a fellow believer, Christ follower, worship music actually shifts the atmosphere and invites the very presence of God. And I don't know about y'all, but that's like, if I'm in a bad mood and I need to get in a better mood, that's what I do. And I make myself sing because it gets me in line. Okay. Last thought, and I will pass it back to you, Meg. When you take care of yourself, you will be more equipped to pour out for others. There are so many people in your world that benefit from you leading yourself well. And keep remembering, there was 3 people laying bricks. You go and you ask the first person, hey, what are you making? I'm making bricks. You go and you ask the second person, hey, what are you making? I'm building a wall. You go and you ask the third person, what are you making? I'm building a cathedral. Are you going to be a bricklayer or a cathedral builder? That's what you get to choose when you take care of yourself. All right, Meg, thanks.
Wow, that's awesome, Jordan. I'm going to try to summarize your 5 in 1. So move your body. What comes in is what comes out. So let all the good stuff come in. Play music, ground yourself, let the light in. And I missed the last one. Set your mind on the light. So maybe put it in the chat so we all know, but those are some really great tips. And once we have our energy set, right, we're managing our mindset, managing our energy, we are ready really for building our business and seeing what's possible and changing people's world. And I can't think of anybody better to share with us about how do we ask for referrals and how do we show up on social than Sarah Bond. So Sarah, would you mind throwing some wisdom and truth bombs at us?
I always forget to unmute myself. Sorry, guys. You guys, I mean, everybody has just had so many good tips and things tonight. I feel like mine is a little bit more of just like, I don't know how to put it, but just going to get into a couple little like pointers, I guess. Kind of switching gears a little bit with talking about referrals, but I think sometimes with confidence, it can be shaken sometimes, right? And then you're like, okay, let's get into action. Well, what do I do? And so referrals comes to mind for me because they're so essential to our business and to growth. So I was just going to touch on a few things with that really quickly. First of all, with referrals, the biggest thing is just don't be afraid to ask for them. So when a client is excited about their progress, definitely celebrate them, help them feel seen and heard, ask who's noticing these changes, and remind them that you love helping people and would so appreciate the referrals. And that it's even more fun to do this with a friend. But then, like, how do you do that? If you feel uncomfortable with that, how does that all work? But so we can ask your client, you can ask your client to connect you with that referral via a group text, like a 3-way group text. And that's helpful if that other person is hesitant to reach out. But most of the time, my clients just give out my phone number and my Facebook, and then those people will reach out to me. And I just make sure that all my clients know that I'm very happy for them to do that, that they can give my information out to whoever they want. And then another little just practical tip on that is, like, if you go to a gym, leave your business cards with the owner and put those on the bulletin board. And then another one would be, like, speak with your doctor when you go for your next visit, and, ask if they would like some info about your program. Tell them what it's done for you, and ask if they would consider maybe referring clients to you. And maybe your doctor would even want to experience the program themselves and become a client like mine did. So that's a good way to bring people in. And then another really good tip on referrals is just bringing every client to a celebration call. So this really shows your clients that you care and that their support runs deeper than just you. And then we just genuinely celebrate on that first week and all the happenings that has happened in that first week. And then I just continue to really celebrate them with anything that they share with me along the way. But referrals, like I said, are essential to your business. They really open up new circles of influence. And that's the main thing. So, like, for example, I'm in Kentucky, which is where most of my clients are. But several months back, I ended up with a client from New York and, talked with that person about referrals. And I should preface this too, like I meant to say this in the beginning. Having people coach is the main thing. Like, you want them to coach, but if they're not, then referrals is like, the next thing that you would want to do. And then ask that person often, if they want to coach as they're bringing in referrals for you. But, with that one client that I started out with in New York, now that's grown to 7. And I'm hoping that some of these people will coach. But I just ask them to share about the program and, with their family and their friends whenever they feel comfortable. And they do. Let's see, what else? Referrals help build credibility. And building our own credibility is something that, we really are in charge of ourselves. It's really up to us to share enough so that people know not only what they can accomplish, but also what it's like working with us. So word of mouth is so valuable in that endeavor of building your own credibility. And so just keep in mind with social media, I know it's time to wrap up. So keep in mind that when someone is referred to you, the first thing they're going to do is come to your social media and scope you out. And so what do you want them to see when they come to your social media page? So just keep that in mind. They want to know who you are, what you stand for as a health coach, and what you can do to help them. And I'll wrap that up there since it's 9.
Sarah, that was awesome. You continue to just be leading the pack in referrals month after month, and such a good reminder that not only are clients a great referral source, but also our social media. And a lot of times we get referrals from our Facebook friends who may or may not even be clients of ours. They just know what we do. And so when they're in a group and they hear somebody needing a health coach, we're going to come to mind because we've been out there. So thank you so much for sharing those tips and that wisdom with us. Okay, so your double dog dare. So if you're new here, we end all of our calls with a double dog dare. So your double dog dare for tonight and for this week is for 2 clients that you have. We want you to ask for a referral. So intentionally ask 2 of your clients for referral, and it can look something like this. Hey, Jesse, has Optavia changed your life? And Jesse would say, yes, of course. It's been awesome. Whatever he says. And then say, oh man, I love hearing that. Do you know anybody who could benefit from what we have to offer? And he's probably going to say, well, I don't know. And say, that's okay. Just think about it. Just think about it. Who do you know that could benefit from that? and challenge them to think of somebody whose life could be changed if only they knew about Optavia. So that is your double dog dare for this week, is intentionally ask for 2 referrals. And thank you all for being on. Thank you for serving and loving with that agape love, and for being a great part of our community. We will see y'all next week. Thanks to all of our speakers. Y'all can pop off mute and say goodbye. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Thank you.
Have a great week.
Bye.